Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Page of Swords podcast. This is episode 22, and I'm with my guest today, Corrie Morales. And Corrie, where are you from? Or I think I know, but go ahead and say where you're at.
Yeah, I actually was born and raised in the Houston, Texas area, and that's where my husband and I live now.
Oh, perfect. And because I've been to Texas, but like San Antonio, and I mean, I'm here in Pennsylvania and it's snowing, so I'm assuming it's not snowing.
It is definitely not snowing, but we feel like it's cold here. It's like, in the 50s today, so which you guys would love, but
Yeah, it's like 32 here, or not even that. It's like less than that right now. But so this has been just a wild year, and I'm so excited to bring you on because you are a pro that's been on stage a couple times already this year. Well, the year's almost ending, but
right.
so let's get started on your show history.
Yeah,
I have the NPC News website up right now, and so it shows that you've been competing since 2013. Is that correct?
that's right. Yeah,
And you started in bikini.
yeah, yeah, sure did.
How did you get started with that?
So, at the gym I trained in, so I've been lifting weights since my husband and I were in college together. We started working out together, so it was really just part of our lifestyle. And then I saw, old school female bodybuilder prepping for a show back in the day when my husband and I were just married, but I knew we wanted to have some kids, and so it was kind of that planted the seed. Gina Davis, she's from here in Texas, of course, and I think in the Dallas area has actually trained Steve Kuklo over the years. And so saw her and was inspired, but knew it wasn't the right time for me. And then my husband started his private practice in plastic surgery, and one of his first patients was a competitor. And so, the kids were older by that time, and it was like, well, maybe now's the time to kind of pursue this dream of, stepping on stage. And I really had no idea what I was getting into. And it was one of those things like, I'll just try this once. Um, and so I always, because I worked out, I always felt like I was fairly fit, but obviously bodybuilding, it's like a whole other level of a fit. So I lost like 20 pounds in the process of that first bikini prep, and I posted a picture on my Instagram recently. I don't know if you saw it. Like, I was super proud. It was the best I ever looked in my life. But obviously it's come a long way since then, and so the bounce back was pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. During that first, look at that. Oof.
Oh, we all start
Was
somewhere.
That's right. That's right. And so that's the thing I'm most proud of, obviously, is the growth that's happened in the year since then. But the bounce back was rough. I was not prepared for that, and gained all the weight back. And so, made some friends through the course of that first competition, and they're like, "Wouldn't it be fun if we did another one and we did it together?" And I'm like, yeah, that would be great. But I wanted to get back to that, and be able to maintain better coming out of that show. So then I did a second bikini show, and I think I placed fourth. And so that, of course, like, lit that competitive fire that I could actually like place in a show. And I played soccer growing up, so my legs were always on the bigger side, and I didn't want to have to like cut them down to mold into that bikini. But what's funny, I think if I would have waited it out, bikini might would have caught up to me. But
I did notice that your legs do look phenomenal when you started out. So I was wondering if you did some sort of sport or what you did, because you had some really nice leg lines starting out here.
well, thank you. Appreciate that. And again, I think as everything has evolved, bikini's probably caught up to that, or maybe even, gone beyond, that look that I had at the time. So anyway, after that, decided I wanted to move up to figure, and it's kind of been a long haul because, I never really had much of a back. And that, I would say, that's still probably my biggest weakness in figure where I am today.
So
Oof,
the
yeah.
2015 was your first figure show?
Yeah, it was the
Okay.
Phil Heath here in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, and my posing has come a long way too.
Well, hey, I mean, going from bikini to figure, I did actually want to ask you about that. And from back then, like, how did you feel back then? Like, who gave you that push to go into figure? Was that on your own, or did someone go like, hey, like, you should try figure?
My coach at the time, she encouraged me to consider it again just because I had, the legs that I had. And then, we consulted a couple other people and they're like, yeah, you could do it, you could grow into it. And so, had the full support of my husband to go for that. And my let's see, like the second figure show I did was actually in the middle of like my evening MBA program that I was doing, which was just crazy. Like I don't, you look back at certain times in your life and you're like, how did I do that? But I did it. So, you know.
Yeah, so you were in school and then you did your second figure show. So you are probably about like 4 shows deep at that point too. So
Yeah.
maybe you were kind of like, I know what I'm doing
Yeah.
and I'll make it work. So
Yeah, exactly. And I had some great people that were working with me. Like Dana Ambrose. She's a former Olympian, doesn't compete anymore in the figure division, but she was here in Houston and helped me with, posing and training and all those kinds of things. So,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. Did you start out with a coach too when you first did that bikini show? I know you said you inspired by Gina Davis. Was she helping
Yeah.
you at all, or?
She didn't, I didn't find her on Instagram until, a few years later. But no, it was the competitor that had been the client of my husband that helped me with my first prep.
Okay.
And then after that was just another local trainer. Her name's Juliana Halloran. Shout out to Juliana.
Mm-hmm.
She's a bikini pro now, living out in California. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. So how is the scene out there in Houston? I would assume it's pretty big with the bodybuilders. Like, what's it like?
Yeah, Houston is great. I mean, it's such a large, like sprawling city
Mm-hmm.
that, we've got pros in every corner and we've got some great gyms in every corner of the city too. So, I mean, you could probably realistically, hit a different gym every day and like run into, different pros at different gyms every day. The Labradas are based here.
Yep.
Patrick Moore, Corrie, who's competing, at the Olympia, all these Olympians, even, and of course, lots of other folks, Logan Franklin. So yeah, and lots of, figure athletes as well. Some that, I know that they don't necessarily compete anymore, but yeah, definitely lots of folks. And we really haven't had that many NPC shows. Like a lot of them have been based in Dallas, but, looking next year to hopefully have some more NPC shows. And, I think, maybe even a pro show here in Houston, which as the nation's 4th largest city seems appropriate.
Definitely right. And you know what, too, just thinking about people in Texas, I was just, I really like Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan just moved out that way too. It seems like everyone's going to migrate from California to Texas.
Yeah, cost of living is great, especially excuse me, compared to someplace like California or,
Yeah.
Northeast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. And I see that you have a gym. That's your own personal gym behind you there?
Yes, this is the home gym. So, excuse me, through the years, we've had some equipment here and there just because, like, having kids, it was like, I don't know when I'll get to the gym, having a job. Um, and so we always had some equipment. And then, of course, when everything started going down this year, we're like, okay, we need to start accumulating more equipment. And thankfully, we had the space here to be adding it in.
Definitely. It looks nice. And I would assume that that helped greatly with competing this year. I bet you didn't even skip a beat, huh?
It did, yes, definitely. Thankfully, yeah, didn't skip a beat. In those early days when we didn't have like all the equipment that we have at this point, we definitely were, my husband and I were, who's also a pro, we were getting really creative and sharing ideas with each other about things we had found that worked that, hit certain muscle groups. But yes, for sure, it's really helped. And I mean, things are fairly open here in Texas. I think it's it's not been as restricted as some places, for better or for worse. Who knows what the right decision is with that. But yeah, we're still a little leery of going out, and it's a time savings too when you can just walk upstairs and get your training in. So.
Great. And I'm sure with your husband's line of work too, he has to be careful with his client, for his
Oh my
clients.
gosh, yes, yeah. Obviously, his health is really important. Interacting with so many people and operating and all that. Yep.
definitely. So when there was a lockdown, what was the first piece of equipment that you bought to add on that you're like, oh no, I need this?
Well, it was the leg equipment because,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you can do shoulders with like, so easily with things and some back equipment too. But, like we got basically like a big leg press and like a hack squat kind of setup. So yeah, those were top, probably the two biggest things that were like, yes, can't wait. Like new toys.
I was gonna say, I was assuming it was gonna be a leg equipment because,
Yeah.
I mean, I worked out with bands and that's just fine and dandy for a little bit, but there's
Yeah.
nothing quite like leg equipment.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys have had it rough up in Pennsylvania. Like they were
Yeah,
really stringent.
we're back on. Most gyms are back on lockdown. The only ones that are open are all the local gyms that are like rebelling against it. Like, so I do have one gym that's still open, but
Okay.
like your Planet Fitness and LA Fitness
Yeah.
and those box gyms, they all had to close down.
Okay. Well,
Fun times.
yeah.
So I want to go back to your show history
Yeah.
because now I want to get into turning pro. So
Yeah.
you had done a lot of shows before you turned pro because
Yeah.
2019, so last year, was the big pro win. So tell me
Yeah.
about that. You never gave up, and that's what I love. You have consistency here and it
Yeah.
shows. So what kept you going and everything?
Well, thank you. What's interesting is I didn't even initially set my sights on that. Like when I started, like I said, it was like, I'm going to do one show and see, what it's like, get the experience. And then it becomes an addiction, obviously. And so it took me a while to even verbalize the fact that like, yeah, I want to be a pro, like to come to that realization and then to say it, because it's kind of scary to admit that, because then it's like, you're really on, like you're really committed to that, and people kind of are going to look at you and hold you accountable for that. And so I think once I actually verbalized it, it was like, okay, I can do it. Definitely had the full support of my husband and, just working with different coaches, through the years, they're like, yeah, like you can do it. You've got these things to work on. My first, I know there's some different philosophies about doing a national level show. Some people are like, I want to go, like, not go until like I feel like I'm ready and I'm like, I can win the whole thing. That's great. I don't know what's the right answer, but for me, it was like I want to go and get experience. I knew I wasn't gonna win that first one, because I honestly get nerves, on stage. I know a fair number of people do, but some people don't. Like they just like they get out there, they got the sass, they got the confidence. Like for me, that's I almost have to take on. We could talk about it later, but like this alternate persona to really get into that confidence space. So for me, I think just being able to step on the stage and say, okay, this is what it's like. This is what the competition looks like, was really good for my mind. And so, yeah, so the first year I did it, it was, yeah, not pretty. The next year, I was actually runner up in my master's classes. So just shy of my pro card at both Universe and um, Teen Collegiate Master Nationals there in Pittsburgh. And so that really, really solidified, okay, like I'm on the right track. The next year, kind of bombed out with a coach that I was with at the time. Won't name any names, but it did not end well. And so then again, I felt like I was going back for redemption after that. And that's when I connected with Whitney Jones, who we all know is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And she really helped me because I almost too, with the bad experience with the coach, like I did want redemption, but at the same time, I was also just really kind of like embarrassed, and I was like, I don't even know if I'm ever gonna like and I feel like figures constantly, I mean, all the classes are constantly evolving, and I was like, is this even something I can attain? Like I'm getting older, you know like can I really get there? And she helped kind of help me find the faith and the kind of the courage and the commitment again. And so I owe that to her. And so yeah, earned my pro card with Whitney as my coach in 2019 alongside my husband, which was amazing and magical. And
Was it at the same show?
it was, yeah, we
Oh,
both
that's
turned
fantastic.
pro, yeah, at Universe last year. And yeah, it really was a fairy tale. Like we
Oh,
obviously couldn't have hoped for
and
anything better.
pictures. Yeah, I knew he was a pro. I just wasn't sure what show, but that is
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And let's see, I'm just gonna Sorry, I'm like trying to find a picture real quick. They just, you know how it is. They post all the pictures, and I'm trying to find one where it looks,
Yeah.
Um,
I know sometimes you get like all of them when you're like half a smile, half this, and like turn.
exactly. And I'm
Like,
like, and I feel bad because I'm learning as I go with the podcast, and I try to be as prepared as possible. But I remember one time I did have someone on here, and they were like, "Yeah, that's not really the best picture of me." I'm like, "I'm so sorry." But yes, this is your winning show
yep.
here, correct?
Yep, yeah, that's from Universe last year. So, and that, at the time, obviously was my best package to date. I finally got smart and got with like Kenny Wallach, who's the
Yeah.
master of all masters of posing, and he really improved my posing. And again, work in progress,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I was very pleased with what we were able to do for that show.
Definitely. And I know you've done a lot of shows, but I'm curious, what has been your overall judges' feedback? Like,
Yeah, I would say, and certainly coming out of my pro debut, back thickness.
okay.
And so, like I was saying, I've really worked on width over the years, and I feel like width is pretty good. Unfortunately, I'm not blessed with like a super teeny tiny waist. So you got to get really wide to
Yeah.
to get that appearance of a small waist. But yeah, back thickness is still something that I'm chasing. Glutes forever is like everybody's most treasured asset, I guess. So always working on those. And for me personally too, it sounds silly, but like abs, like I really
Oh, okay.
wasn't doing a lot of. I didn't get that feedback from the judges, but I just felt like for me, looking at the other figure athletes, I was like, I feel like I have no abs, and part of that is posing, but then to just building them like any other muscle
That's really
without thickening your
interesting.
waist.
Yeah, because I know, it's hard with figure because, with the whole waist thing, you don't want to do anything that could risk, a
Yeah.
blocky or thick waist or anything like that.
Yeah.
But because I know I try to keep it really minimum, but it's always like in the back of my head, like, should I? I don't know. Like I get
Yeah.
nervous, and maybe it's something you just kind of do like in prep before.
Yeah.
Not sure. But yeah, killer legs and great shoulders. It has to
Thank
be
you.
two highlights there for sure. And your suits, by the way, those are T
Thank
Marie.
you. Yeah, Tammy Marie, she's amazing. My first bikini suits, or not Tammy, but as soon as I started competing in figure, I've never worn anything else, and I would never want to wear anything else.
Well, they're
She's
beautiful
amazing.
and colorful too. I know, I
Yeah.
love that about your suits. I always have thought that I like that you have the blonde hair and the colorful suits, and that you're not afraid to do all those, because sometimes I feel like some people pick like one flat color or maybe like a two-tone, but you've got multiple colors.
Oh yeah.
And it's great that you have the blonde hair, by the way, because I've often talked about that too, where, don't they often say that sometimes it's harder for the blondes because they say judges just don't notice as much?
What's interesting is that was like a little tidbit one of my coaches shared with me about like specifically the Northeast, like maybe like in California,
Mhm.
or if you're doing like the Las Vegas shows, like maybe you might have more of a preference for blondes, but like in the Northeast, like not so much. I'm like, I don't know if that's real. I mean,
It's probably not, but I've heard it. So that's why
yeah,
I was curious because,
yeah, bodybuilding myth.
yeah, it is the myth, but you know how judges are. It does
Yeah,
depend on the show, I think. It does
yeah,
depend on what their preference.
yeah. Well, and yeah, everything. It's so subjective. It's all about the who shows up, like which judges are there, what they like. So
So you won the pro card, and
yeah,
then you kind of like took off an off season, and obviously you're continuing with Whitney, right?
yeah, yeah.
So then you hit your first pro show. How was the pro debut?
So I took off, I mean, off, I don't know, kind of like reversed a little bit coming out of that or excuse me, earning my pro card, and then did my pro debut last year at the Legion Sports Fest in November. And I partly did that because Whitney just gave me the confidence. She's like, you've earned the right. Like, you're ready. Like, let's do it. And I'm like, okay. Um, and I was turning 40 in November, and I was like, I want to be in the best shape of my life. I want to look the best I've ever looked. So that was incentive for me too. And so yeah, I decided to do that last year. Didn't place at all, but again, got that experience. Felt really good. Whitney was at the show with me, which was,
Ooh.
amazing. And then had planned, like everyone, to jump back into shows like maybe like June. I mean, everybody likes to have a nice body for summer, so it's like if you plan a June show, then you can enjoy your body all summer.
Yeah.
But that went to hell with the pandemic. And so then, ended up doing Legions again in October of this year, which was a masters only show for figure this year.
I actually didn't know
And
that. Okay.
yeah, and so, different competing and masters only,
Mhm.
but good. And then decided to go on to the Wings of Strength Arizona Pro that just happened December 5th. And so I was really grateful I decided to do that because that was an amazing show. Placed top 10, got ninth place, and was really pleased with that. I definitely feel like my best, most confident presentation on stage and my best physique. So it was nice to end the year on a high note and look
Definitely.
forward to 2021.
How was it having Whitney? Was she with you backstage and everything? Like,
Yeah,
was
yeah. I
good
mean,
talk
she's
with
just
her?
so great. I mean, she has that same energy that you see online, like all the time. And so she's super positive. And I remember I was like so geeked out when I was at Universe last year because she was the reigning Miss Fitness Olympia, and she was like gluing my suit, like on my, my butt. Like I'm like, this is like surreal. Like
Yeah,
you're so amazing, and like the
it's like
top of
hard
the
to not get
bodybuilding
charged.
world, and you're
Yeah,
like gluing my suit. Thank you. I love you.
yeah.
You're the
Keep
best.
watching me.
Right.
Because there are celebrities, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I remember, so I got the pose with Sydney Gillen
Yeah.
a couple years ago, and Whitney was there, and it was like weird to me because obviously Whitney is like Sydney's coach too, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like I'm in a room full of Olympians, and it's not really hitting me because I'm trying to stay cool.
Right. 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 Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. She's got that high energy, and I bet that really like
Yeah.
built some confidence too when you were at that because that was um there's a lot of people at that. A lot of figures just growing. I feel like for the
Yeah.
pros, there's always a lot of competitors. How was it backstage?
At the Wings of Strength most recently.
Yeah, or even just the pros in general. Like I'm sure there's a difference once you got to the pro level.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it was like I just said, it's really surreal because it's like, these people that you've idolized through the years and, kind of put on a pedestal and rightfully so. I mean, they're the top of the game. And so, yeah, it's really cool just to be like, I'm on the same stage as them. I'm competing, alongside them. And yeah, it's an honor and it's really cool. And I think the longer I do it, which I intend to, keep competing, it's like the more it'll feel like, yeah, I belong. But it still feels like, they're just so amazing. And like, I'm in awe and I love to, especially like at the Wings of Strength, Carly, Starling Harrell was there and Julia Waring, and they're going on to compete, at the Olympia this weekend. And, so, I'm in the lineup and they're judging and kind of confirming at the night show. And I'm just like standing there staring, like I'm in the audience too, like I'm posed, but I'm like, just like, oh, they're so amazing.
Yeah, I would assume that that would be something that your first pro show, maybe you are kind of just like you want to win, but at the same time you're like in the moment and you're trying not to
Yeah.
be distracted, but you're just like, cool,
I'm
I'm
still
here.
a little starstruck. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and they're all really sweet. Like I've not met anyone that isn't kind or encouraging or whatever. I mean, and obviously try not to interrupt them before the show as everyone's kind of, getting in the zone, kind of thing. But yeah, it's cool.
Oh, I'm sure. And I was going to say, I would assume that it's almost like a sisterhood or almost where they all
Hmm.
just, everybody's just happy to be there, especially after this year. I'm sure
Oh
everyone's
yeah,
happy you were
definitely.
there and make the stage a little more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a Wings of Strength show. I've heard that, Jake Wood definitely puts a lot and stuff into those shows. So that must have been good too.
Yeah, it was very cool. And I would definitely like to do another Wings of Strength show because they know how to put on a great show.
So you were just talking about the Olympia. I am curious, do you have what do you think about the upcoming Olympia? Do you think Sydney's gonna I think this will be 4 for her if she wins.
Yeah, I would not bet against her. I just think she's amazing. She's got such a crazy like X frame. Um, yeah, her posing is just on point and so graceful. But yeah, she's definitely my pick for figure. But I feel like every category has like an interesting storyline this year, so I'm really super excited. My husband and I are going. We're gonna fly out Friday morning, so unfortunately, I'm gonna miss the we'll miss the prejudging Friday morning, but we'll be there in time for the night show Friday and all day Saturday for all the festivities. So it's super exciting.
That is exciting. I actually just remembered I did see, so your husband is a sponsor for the show?
He is, which we're also super stoked about.
That's
He
awesome.
yeah decided to kind of like step up and do an Olympia sponsorship this year, and I think it's actually a great time because of this year. I'm sure the Olympia, like so many others, are missing out on opportunities, and some of the regular sponsors aren't able to participate this year, and so it's a good time for him. And we will get to present the award to the classic physique winner, so we will be like on stage, which is another like I'm gonna like be geeked out
That is
kind
so
of moment.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. Like he's super amped up because of course he competes in classic physique. So, these are his idols. So yeah, it'll be really fun.
Oh man, that makes me wonder I mean, classic. I mean, Chris Bumstead and everything. So
Yeah.
it's like hard to, but I mean, it's still, I mean, because to me, I'm a big fan of all the divisions really. And
Yeah.
yeah, that top 3, like Breon and
Yeah.
Rough Diesel or whatever. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God. His posing is so amazing. Yeah.
dude, yeah. And you were just talking about posing with Sydney and everything. And I just really feel like posing's where it's at too. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, because you can have the physique, and if you don't know how to present it properly, then it doesn't matter that you have the the best physique. So, yeah, it's huge.
and when you're a pro too, how did it feel? Don't you guys get like way more time to pose? Like, how did that feel? I bet at first you're kind of like, oh, I can still be up here. Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah, it's actually like for me, because like I said, um, that's not where I'm most at ease. Like I don't mind being in front of people, but I still have this like kind of mental thing about being in essentially a tiny bikini, on stage in front of all these people that are critically, judging you. Um, it was actually a little bit terrifying to know that I needed to be on the stage longer. And I actually competed alongside someone at the Wings of Strength most recently. It was her pro debut, and when they told us that we could go through our individual presentation again at the evening show at the finals, she was like, "Oh my God, we have to do that!" Like she was in the same like headspace as me, like, "Oh no, I don't want to do that," kind of thing. Because it's like, she was just like all in the feels, with it being her pro debut. And so I definitely have come a long way where I don't feel like that, averse to it anymore. But it was a little bit daunting knowing that I needed to put together something that was a little bit longer, and find the right poses that, flatter your physique or hide maybe something that's not as, developed or, as much of an asset as something else. And so it's a process for sure, but it's nothing like what the classic physique guys or the women's physique ladies do, the bodybuilders. So at least there's that. I feel like it's, something that's a little less intimidating than what some of the other groups do.
I'm glad that you admit that too. I feel like there are just some girls that, maybe they like the gym, they're a tomboy or whatever it might be. And then the stage is just like, they want to show off what they have and they have what it takes. But, everyone gets a little nervous, maybe more than others. So it's nice that, you can open up about that and someone will definitely relate.
Yeah, for sure. And I've found too for myself, I mean, it's almost been like a year between, my competitions. And it's like every time I'm like, I need to like a warm-up show to get to reacclimate myself to the stage and get comfortable. And I feel like every time if I do a show and then I do another one that's like fairly, close afterward, I feel so much better in that second show because I'm just like, okay, yeah, I can do this. Like it just, finding that comfort zone again. So hopefully I'll get better with that and I won't need a warm-up show, but
Hey, but
you
it's
know,
not a bad idea. I mean, look at, I'm pretty sure most of the Olympians do it if they
yeah,
can, just get in, see where they place, and then they got a couple more weeks to tweak what they need to. And
yeah, you get some feedback. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you say what your feedback was from the Phoenix show? Like,
Actually, I was just thinking about that today. I was like, I need to actually request feedback, which is
oh,
probably almost getting to be too far gone to ask for it. But yeah, I didn't get feedback from it yet. So
yeah. I was gonna say I know that they give you a couple weeks or whatever, and
yeah.
I'm sure all the head judges were there. Was like Tyler and them the judges?
Actually, Tyler was here in Texas judging a pro-am. And then Sandy was supposed to be judging it, but unfortunately she had some like personal circumstances that kept her from being able to judge. So Becky Clausen ended up
Oh,
being the head judge. So yeah,
that's a good judge too. She's always
yeah.
putting out good information and everything.
Yeah, she does a lot on Instagram to share like what she sees from a judge's perspective, which is valuable.
Yes. And then I want to go back to your husband. It seems like, you guys are both pros and you both can support each other, and you guys have been together for a long time. So
Yes.
how is that prepping together with a family? Like, does it all just click?
Um, I think we found our groove for sure. Um, prepping together in some ways I feel like is easier. In some ways it's harder.
Mhm.
Easier because we're both eating, we're restricted, we're eating, lean foods and stuff. And so it's not like one of us is eating pizza in front of the other while somebody's eating chicken and, vegetables and rice. So that's nice. But then obviously we're both hangry and we're both trying to, get in our workouts and, so you have to balance like, schedules and all of that stuff. Or we both want to use we have whatever those, like the hypervolt, like massage gun, it's like, are you done with that yet? Like, I need to use it. Like, we could probably just get another one, but it's stuff like that. So it's good. And we really enjoy doing it together. Like it's fun to be able to share that, travel together. I mean, our girls are 15 and almost 12. So they know the routine now. I mean, they're kind of annoyed by it, because like when we're in prep, it's like they don't really get, we don't go out to eat, it's really, can we go out to eat? Like they're suffering. Like, I'll go pick you up some Chick-fil-A, like,
Funny. That's what the other, I had someone else that was on too that said, if they go get the kids food, it's usually like a Chick-fil-A meal or something. And I'm
yeah.
just like, well, at least it's chicken. It's close enough. Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
watching
So,
it too with the kids. They're probably just like, oh, that's typical mom and dad. Eating their
yeah.
rice and eggs.
Yeah, I mean they're like, "Ugh, you guys like it's like y'all are not normal." And we're like, we know, we don't want to be normal.
That's fantastic.
Sorry.
Are they in the sports or anything?
Yeah, so for a while they were both doing competitive gymnastics. Our older one is still doing that. She's a terrible eater. I love her, but I don't know what happened to her. She has a very limited, repertoire of things that she'll eat. But my younger one actually will eat a lot of the foods that you would find on like a prep diet. Like she loves Brussels sprouts, and like grilled chicken and that kind of thing. Loves beans and rice. So she's not doing gymnastics anymore, but she's doing volleyball now. So and I've told them that I'm like, I don't really care what sport you do, but you have to do something active, like So
I was gonna say if she was doing gymnastics, I'd be like, we're gonna make you into a mini Whitney.
I know, you know what? I told her that the other day. I was like, maybe if there was ever a time where like Whitney was at a show and she was going to do like a guest, posing kind of routine, I was like, maybe we could like have you do it with her. And she's like, meh. And I'm like, oh my God, like you have no idea.
You have no idea. You're like, I just want to live through you. Like, please do.
Right, exactly. I need you to do this.
At least be like, if you're gonna watch the Olympia, please watch Whitney or just all the fitness girls, because Asana
Yes.
or whatever. I don't think I say her name right. But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
She.
yeah.
It's going to be exciting to see her come back too. I've heard she's
Yeah.
amazing.
They're amazing. Like honestly, I feel like the fitness ladies deserve so much credit because it's like they're dieting, but then they're doing this crazy routine. which is so demanding. And it's like, you can't really be, I mean, you're depleted, but then you can't really be depleted and do like a full fitness routine like that. So I mean, I'm sure there's some magical formula for how you do it. And they know what that is, but it's so impressive. I mean, posing is hard,
Mhm.
harder than people, I think, can really appreciate if you're the outside looking in. But yeah, that fitness routine is on a whole other level. And then they're just also being judged on their physique, I mean, and they look like figure ladies, for the most part. So
Yeah, and so prone to injuries. That would make me so nervous. Like I think
seriously.
last year the one girl did like roll her ankle, and then when she went on the stage, she was like, I literally like just did it yesterday during practice, so I'm just gonna do it, wave off, and just say that she stepped.
Devastating. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine, but that's the name of the game, I guess, with
Yeah.
that vision. And maybe eventually I'll find a fitness girl to bring on and be like, how
Yeah.
do you do it? So also I want to ask about muscle egg. So you've
Yeah.
honestly, ever since I've been following you, which I think has been for a couple years now, you've always been a muscle egg rep. So
Yeah.
how did you get
Yeah. So I really met them, just at local shows, and they were looking to, bring on someone from, for the Houston area. And because the guy that was coming to like the Houston shows was based in San Antonio. And so just, I mean, really kind of luck, I guess, as a lot of things can be. And super blessed. They're an amazing company with amazing people, super supportive of all of us as athletes. I legitimately use it, consume muscle like every single day. Sometimes more than one meal because, I definitely have like the plain egg whites for breakfast. And then, flavored egg whites at some, for some meal later in the day. Oftentimes like the last meal because it feels like a treat, because it's something sweet. And I feel like it's just such a great way to survive prep and have something that, tastes like you're cheating, but you're not cheating. So yeah, it's amazing. And do you try it? Have you ever
I
tried it,
have.
or do you?
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say I think it's like the Fruit Loop cereal one, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's good. And then I'm trying to remember what other one I might have had because I definitely I remember at the Arnold, me and my friend we
Oh
like
yeah.
split the cost and got like gallons shipped to us,
Yeah.
and I had them for. I just remember the cereal one was like my favorite. Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite?
Yeah. The fruit cereal is great. The pumpkin spice is my all-time favorite. Like, call me basic, but it's so delicious. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm that kind of person too, where I'm like, I try to like have egg whites with like sugar-free syrup on it as my last meal.
Hmm.
I just that last meal I feel like has to have some sweet to it for sure.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny how we're like that.
Yes.
You get to well, obviously with COVID, there's like no expos, but you've probably done a lot of the expos and shows as like a vendor at the booth or something.
Yeah, yeah, actually, was at the Olympia last year, and the Arnold last year with Miss Leg, which was awesome. I mean, just the vibe is like so cool. Was looking forward to doing it this year, but it'll be next year before we get back to that. Through this year, we've just been trying to get into gyms when they're open to do like small demos so people can still try the product. And, obviously, people staying home, I feel like, the fact that Muscle gets shipped to your house is kind of, they've had a leg up on that. Like that's easy.
Yeah, and
So.
you said you don't get to work a booth this year, but you get to get on stage. So
Yeah, yeah, thankfully. Yeah, I wasn't prepared for at the Wings of Strength. I mean, I guess I should have been prepared for it. But they had us wear masks in the
oh,
comparisons.
didn't even
Like
think
your
about
individuals, you didn't have to wear it, but then when, they were calling out comparisons and stuff, you had to put it on. And I was like, whoa, okay, posing with a mask on is a little more challenging. So
yeah, with like breathing or just like it threw your distraction off or what was it?
yeah, breathing and then also just feeling like, I mean, I'm smiling, but you can't tell I'm smiling, kind of. So mentally, it just, um,
Mess with you a little bit. You're like,
yeah, messed with me a little bit. Yeah.
everything else better look good right now.
Right, exactly.
Because like people might not realize that with the mask, but a smile and smiling to the judges is a very important factor
Yeah,
for the whole stage presentation, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So I want to ask,
Hmm.
do you have any advice that you would give a newcomer? You've been doing this for many years, and
Yeah.
is there something that you could give to someone that you're like, listen, this is what I learned, and please listen to me?
Yeah, I would say make sure you have like a supportive network because it really makes a huge difference. Like if you have like a significant other or like family members in your life that don't support what you want to do, it is going to be so much harder. And to be honest, like my mom doesn't love that I do this, but she helps take care of the kids when we go out of town and, does support without like being like my biggest cheerleader kind of thing, and that's okay because I know that's how she feels like. But then I've got my husband Roland who is super supportive and is definitely my biggest cheerleader. The other thing I would say is um, anybody can claim to be a coach, but that doesn't necessarily make them a good coach. So buyer beware, kind of thing. Like you get what you pay for. If just do your research when it comes to a coach, like because they control or and make so many decisions for you. And really, you should listen to your coach, of course. So they're making so many decisions that impact so many aspects of your life. If they're going to like harsh crash diet you, then, you could be talking about metabolic issues that you're going to have to spend, at least twice as much time trying to correct. So it's like, yeah, just do your research when it comes to a coach. Make sure it's someone you click with. For us, I think initially we felt like we wanted to have someone that was here in Houston that could be like eyes on us because we were so new. But now, definitely, Whitney's in Arizona. I'm in Houston. And online obviously has come so much farther. It's just so much easier. You can FaceTime sort of thing and feel like you're, kind of with them. But yeah, I mean, the coach is such a huge part of your competition that it pays to really do your research. Um, Talk to other people that have worked with that coach and get a feel for it. And also be prepared for life after the competition because like I told you, like, I lost, I like completely just went off the rails, which a lot of people do after that first show because you're just so restricted. And I'm sure it's the most restricted you've ever been in your life. And so it's easy to have issues after a show, and you need a coach that's going to carry you through that time frame and make sure that you reverse properly and that sort of thing.
I agree. I definitely preach to coaches. I always preach to coaches and do your research. Definitely like what you said. It's, this is someone that you're putting your health on them
Mm-hmm.
and, it's good for accountability and all the other things than their knowledge. But at the end of the day, like it will just save you so much time and money to just like have that person there and someone you can
Yeah.
trust. Is
Yeah.
your husband coached by the producer, any of them, or who's he coached by?
Yeah, he's still actually with a local coach here, Chris Darby. He's a 212 pro. He's based in Houston, and Chris was actually my coach for a time that national show where I came in second. He's a great coach. I just really wanted a female coach.
I was gonna for a female.
And yeah, Whitney was so inspiring to me that she felt like, just the right person for me. And I felt like I don't know anyone that she hasn't clicked with, I guess. Like it seems like she's such a friendly person, but I just felt like I clicked with her whenever I first talked to her. So
Definitely. And I know we were talking about the age earlier for you, but honestly, like I think you're at a good age where you have that nice mature muscle. And with the figure division, like you kind of have to have a little bit hard, nice, round, mature muscles for the pro
yeah.
stage. So
Yeah.
you're in a good spot.
Well, thank you. And two, I mean, we had our kids when we were fairly young, and so it's like now they're older, it's easier. You've got some pros that are young. I mean, look at Candace Lewis Carter, like amazing physique, but she's pregnant, she's having a baby now. So it's like, she did her thing in her career, her competitive career. Maybe she'll come back after she has kids eventually. Who knows? But I'm like, all right, I'm already past that. So I just keep rolling with it.
Exactly. You're right too, because you know, fitness, bodybuilding, it does consume our lives. And if you do want that family, it's I bet there are competitors that just they dig deep, especially the ones that are young. I mean, look at Sydney and Shanique, like they are so
Yeah.
young and
Yeah.
you want to see how far they'll go, but right now they're gonna eventually probably have to find a spot to
Yeah.
stop or take a break or whatever to do the family if that's their desires and stuff. So
Yeah.
definitely something to think about for us ladies.
Yeah.
And then also wanted to throw in real quick, I heard you say that your birthday was in November, and I'm
Yeah.
always curious to find out. So are you a Sagittarius or were you the Scorpio end of November?
Scorpio, November 1st.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about you? So are you
I'm a
November baby too? You
Gemini.
what?
Gemini.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm
Very
really
good.
talkative. I like the Scorpios because you guys are like the Halloween babies. So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I barely missed it. I was born at like, 2:43 in the morning, so I was almost a Halloween baby, which
oh,
I'm grateful I wasn't. Not that it really matters, but yeah.
no. I find that stuff fun. You never
Yeah.
know it just makes a lot of sense sometimes, just what they say the personality wise is, but
Yeah.
I just enjoy that stuff to find out. But I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
And your Instagram for everyone to follow you is Corrie Morales _ IFBB Pro.
Yeah, I kept it really really interesting.
No, honestly, like
Basic.
I know everyone wants to put that IFBB Pro at the end, but I'm
Yeah.
glad that you put it at the end because I hate when people put it on the front because when you search people,
Mhm.
sometimes it gets lost and you're just like, why can't I find this person?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
You made
Cool.
it.
Well, thank you so much, Paige, for having me on. It's been super fun talking to you. And bodybuilding is my passion, so it's fun to be able to talk about it. I appreciate you giving us a platform to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm having fun with this too. I love talking and I like to interview. And, you know, you ladies, like I inspire all the figure. I mean, any division, everybody has their own story and they all work really hard. And real quickly, are there
Mhm.
any future goals? I'm assuming you're just going to hold off till next year.
Yeah, no show selected for 2021 yet. I would eventually, and this is one of those things like you verbalize it, so then you got to like make it happen some way. I would like to get to the Arnold stage eventually. I'm not saying that's 2021. I'm not even saying it's the Ohio Arnold. Maybe I could start it, like Australia, because I'd love to go to Australia. That'd be super cool.
You're closer
But
than me. Go over there, man.
right.
I heard Melbourne is fantastic.
So yeah, that I would say is a dream for me, competing and yeah, just trying to like stay healthy and yeah, do the best I can.
That's fantastic. Well, I hope you have a great Christmas, a great holiday. Wish the
Thank you. You too.
well. And yeah, I'm going to have this uploaded for tomorrow morning. So, like I said, I
Awesome.
appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, take care.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too. All right. Bye.